Middle Georgia. So what can you tell me about Jake Fromm? Because this is, I know he was a little serious back in the day, but he won Gatorade State Player of the Year as a junior, and as a team and as a guy, living in Middle Georgia for a while. I know about Warner Robins football. It's Northside, Warner Robins, then Hoco, but I feel like it's kind of changing.
It has definitely changed with Coach Von Lasser coming in and with Jake Fromm coming in. I mean, the Houston County has taken over the Warner Robins football landscape, especially beating Northside this year. Jake is everything that you would want a son to be. 4.0 GPA, tutors kids, goes and gives us testimonies on Friday nights instead of going out. I mean, they nicknamed him the Phenom from the time he was in the 8th grade, and this kid has no ego. He has, he can make every single throw. He's a quarterback on the field. He makes his own checks. He's just everything you would want in a quarterback prospect and a leader. He's a natural-born leader, and he's going to be successful in whatever he chooses to do. That's not even mentioning his football abilities. He threw for over 4,000 yards this year. He's probably going to be second behind Deshaun Watson in every single passing category in the state of Georgia by the time he graduates. He's everything you want, and I mean, to win the Gatorade Player of the Year as a junior in a state this talent-laden is very impressive.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, honestly, what you just said about him, I've heard from people close to him or people. I know Blake Barnett, who I talk to at Alabama right now, who Jake will be giving us a run for in a couple of years or next year. But he met Jake and he's like, yeah, this kid's great, man. He's the best quarterback in the country as far as 2017 goes. And he moved up really high in the Rivals 100 rankings. He's, I believe, 27, if I'm not, or somewhere around there. I don't have the rankings right in front of me, but he moved up really high. I know. I think he's the third best quarterback signed, but behind Hunter Johnson and Tate Martell. So I don't know, man. I got to ask you guys because I got Ryan Swartz and Ryan Jordan. You got two quarterbacks, Tate Martell. You got Jake Fromm. Which one should I take? They're totally different quarterbacks. But which one's better?
I tell you what, I mean, I've seen Tate play a little bit on TV. I've seen Jake play probably 15 times in person. If you want a pro-style quarterback, I think Jake's your guy. He doesn't go under center a lot for Houston County, but he is just a 6'2", 230 pounds, rock-solid kid. He's not going to run the football, but I think he does everything right, and I think he's going to fit in a pro-style scheme. Tate's a little more athletic.
And what about you, Ryan Swartz?
You know what? Unfortunately, I haven't seen Jake play, but I'll have to start looking at some highlights stuff later tonight. But by the sounds of things, two great quarterbacks. Definitely more of a dual threat. So depending on what offense each kid is running, they might have their respective strengths.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll play each other. Jake's going to Alabama as far as right now, and Tate's going to A&M, and that's both of their different styles. They're very different, and they're going to great places. That fit both of them very well. Fromm is 49, actually. He's a little lower than I thought, but he's 49, which is, that's top 50 players in the country. That's great. He's behind David Mills, who I don't know. Have you had a chance to see David Mills play? I know you're Middle Georgia, but I know he's up in Atlanta.
Yeah, I've seen Davis Mills play a few times, and if you want to tell me that he's better than Jake Fromm, I won't argue with you. If you want to tell me that Jake's better than him, I won't argue with you. I think they're both excellent quarterbacks, and then the kid that was just committed to Georgia, Bailey Hockman, who just decommitted from Georgia, is right up there with him as well. So it can be an argument made for all three, and this is the deepest I've ever seen the quarterback position in the state of Georgia. You had teams in this state winning state championships running the wing T in upper divisions until recently. So offense has really come along, and so has the quarterback position.
It has. Three of those top quarterbacks, you name Hoffman, he's in the top 100 as well. They got three quarterbacks. I think them in California are the only teams. So they're doing a good job. I think Georgia's going to have three teams possibly in the top 25 of the preseason. If everything works out, they could be really special. And then they got the, Gatorade Player of the Year, who could be the National Player of the Year, and Jake Fromm. So it's going to be interesting to see. And, I've seen both quarterbacks play. It's just whatever you want. If you want pro-style Fromm, if you want spread, Tate, they're both really good. I think I have Tate a little bit higher, but, Fromm's great. They're both good athletes. Tate's always a little bit more quick, more athletic, but both good quarterbacks. Yeah, Yeah, and I got to ask you about Colquitt County. What do you think about their run this year? Do you think they deserve a share of the national title?
Colquitt, they just looked unbeatable. And in 6A here in Georgia, the highest classification, it looked like, nobody gave them a shot all year. Tift County was the only team that came anywhere close to competing with them, and I think that game was even put away in the fourth. They're just hands down better than anybody in the upper division right now. It took Rush Probst a couple of years to get it going. I think when he came in, they had only won 2 games the previous year. They won 11 in his second year. They started going to semifinals, championship games, couldn't get it done. Finally broke through last year with the undefeated this season, and then broke through again this year. They're building a $2 million indoor facility, which I think will be the first one in the state of Georgia. So they're dumping money into that program, and they're going to be good for a long, long time. People are going to hear from them as long as Rush Probst is the coach there.
Agreed. Couldn't agree more. I know Ryan knows I've been a fan of those guys from really the beginning. When he took over, just because I think he's the best coach in the South, in my opinion. I know St. Thomas Aquinas coach is really good, and coach down in Miami. That coach was Randy Shannon. But I take this guy. I know, like I said, he's had off-field stuff. Don't really care almost. It's over, man. He had his things he battled with, but he's the best coach.
I think people have to understand the mindset of the Colquitt County fan is that, for years they won a state championship in '94. They're only one, but for years, they've got Valdosta, who's the winningest program in the country. They got them down there, and then Lowndes, who's won a bunch of state championships in between, and they kind of felt like the third wheel. And so when they had a chance to go out and get Rush and bring him in, they did it. They're spending whatever money they can to keep him there, and unless a college job comes calling, I don't think he's leaving.
I agree with that, too. I think this guy is going to go to college, though, eventually, because he's such a good coach. He has so many ties to everybody. But, yeah, Colquitt was the third field, kind of like, the Georgia Southern, maybe, state, with Tech and UGA. So, yeah, they've done a great job, and I think they'll definitely get a split. I think it'll be them and Gorman, and if Centennial wins, they'll sneak in there, too. I think we've been joined by Jim Cobern.
Yep, that's me. How's it going, guys?
How's it? It's going great, man. I got Ryan Jordan and Ryan Swartz in, 2 Ryans, different coasts. But we're talking about, obviously, high school football, a little bit of college football. Do you have any questions, guys, for Ryan Jordan? Obviously he's in Georgia. He knows all things Georgia football pretty much, high school football, Jake Fromm, talking about Kirby Smart, whatever the case may be, Jacob Eason. Do you guys have any questions for him?
Yeah, I do, Ryan. Any buzz on Colquitt's schedule next year, looking ahead?
You know what? I have not heard. I will say this, that, the state of Georgia, the GHSA, the Georgia High School Association, has become a lot more lax now on the rules. They were lacking for a lot of years, and as far as teams traveling out of state to play, and that goes in any sport. So they've started to come around to some of these TV games and made-for-TV things. So I wouldn't rule out anything as far as Colquitt going to play somewhere. I know they've been to Hoover and some other places, but I've not heard specifics on opponent, no.
Right on. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jim, any questions for Ryan?
Sure.
Georgia Ryan, though, not Vegas Ryan. Jim, you still with us?
Yes, I'm still here.
You still there, Jim?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, right. Okay, I couldn't hear you at first, but go ahead and ask that question one more time.
Oh, I was asking about Jacob Eason. I don't know if he actually has asked this question or not, but I know that he kind of made some news recently, committing to Georgia, I believe. So I don't know anything about him at all, but if you were to give a mini scouting report of him, what would that be to you?
To me, excellent size. He's got the height you look for. He's got a big right arm. He kind of throws more out of a 3/4 arm slot, so he doesn't really utilize his height, like he should. He has a tendency to throw off his back foot, but he can make plays outside the pocket. He can move around a little bit. The thing that I would worry about him and Georgia's offense is that he hasn't been under center, and that's one thing that he's going to be asked to do for Kirby Smart. So we'll see how he reacts to that, because he hasn't done that much in his high school career.
Okay, yeah, it makes sense. And I did notice that arm release, and yeah, he's got some mechanic things he can work on, but he did a really good job this summer, I believe, at Elite 11 with the coaches. I think he took the most out of that. Probably him and Shane Busheli. They did a really good job. Emily Kearney too, kind of just redefining their technique and mechanics and things like that. And he played baseball, which people have to remember. So his release is a little funky sometimes, but
right.
I think he can come in and win that job. I know we talked about it earlier. I think you might want to go with Bryce or another kid, Lambert, early on, but I think Eason at the end of the day. Who do they play in the first game of the season? They play in a big game. I don't know who they play though. Do you know who they're playing?
They're playing in the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic in the Georgia Dome against North Carolina.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough defense to go against in the first game. And I know North Carolina lost to Clemson or whatever. They gave a lot of points, but that's still a really good team that's getting better and better. So, I mean, that's a game they have to win that game. It's going to be chaos if they lose that game to the Tar Heels first game of the season, because I know how Georgia fans are, and they're going to be pretty pissed off that they brought this guy. And we might as well kept Mark Richt. I'm going to hear that a lot. I feel like.
Well, there's definitely a portion of the fan base who thinks that Mark Richt should have never been fired and never would fire him. So, if they start losing, they're going to hear it without a doubt.
Yeah, and they got to beat Southern by more than what they did, and a bunch of other teams. I know their schedule by hard, but you got to play better, especially in those big games. I feel like the Alabama or the Ole Miss, if they play them next year, A&M or whoever it is. So I think they'll be fine, though. I have one more question for you, and it's about Fromm, actually. I know is there any way he decommits and stays at home to Georgia, or is he Alabama through and through?
That's a good question. Jake was raised a Bulldog. Supposedly, I've heard that his father, Emerson, is very good friends with Kirby Smart from a long time ago. But like I went over before, Jake is just A+ on the makeup scale. And if he's told anybody that's asked since Georgia's offered that he's 100% committed to Alabama. So Georgia's going to have time to recruit him. He doesn't graduate until 2017. So if they can, find a way to get in with him, I know Kirby Smart and Jim Chaney are going to work on it. They definitely want him now. He wasn't highly recruited by the last Georgia staff. He wasn't offered. Mike Bobo brought him into camp several times when he was a younger kid, worked him out. Bobo takes the Colorado State job and offers Jake immediately, I think 2 days after he took the job at Colorado State. Georgia never offered him. Schottenheimer never offered him. So Georgia is going to be a team to watch with him. If he goes anywhere but Alabama, it will be to the University of Georgia.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened with that, but he's the Gatorade. He's the best player in the state, and they didn't offer him, so I don't understand how that. And honestly, Jake Fromm is definitely a guy that came on really strong this year. He's a guy I heard about and seen play a little bit, seen some highlights, but I know Marcus Callaway, Warner Robbins, kind of the player I was watching to win State Player of the Year. But Fromm, what do you think about him, by the way, the wide receiver or DB?
Yeah, Marquez is an interesting guy because he really exploded on the scene as a freshman, and he got a lot of attention. He had a really great sophomore year, and then after his sophomore year, he led the Warner Robins Demons to the basketball state championship game as the point guard, and he started to focus on basketball a little bit more. Basketball is his first love. He took the Demons to the semifinals as a junior. I think he regressed in football as a junior. He didn't play very well. This year the Demons moved him from the X to the Z, and so they were able to move him around a little bit more, get him the football. You weren't able to isolate him outside on some of the better corners in the area or double team him. And he had a great senior season. I think he knows now, if you talk to the Warner Robins coaches, that football is his ticket. He is focused on football, and he's going to be a very good one for somebody. He has great size outside. He does need to get in the weight room. And we'll see how much he loves football, because it's definitely going to take a lot more dedication than he's given to the sport in the past.
Yeah, one thing I did hear was that he loved play. I heard he could play pretty high-level basketball. I haven't seen him play, but I know he loved sport. Is that what Jake Fromm plays baseball? Did you get the same feel for that, or is he just a football player?
Yeah, Jake actually was a starter on the state championship team for Houston County as a freshman. In baseball, of course, he was a star of the Little League World Series when he played, but he's football all the way. He'll tell you he's football all the way. He didn't play any summer baseball. He played no travel baseball. All he did was work out with his quarterback coach and do 7-on-7 tours with his team. So he's football all the way.